You finally got the answer to Sojin's question. Do you love him? You thought you only sympathized with him, but that was not true. Your dad was about to pull the trigger of the gun until cops rushed inside the room and arrested them all. You were still frozen at the spot. You were trembling in fear. Jungkook, who was on the ground, stood up and his eyes went to you. He was about to walk closer until someone walked up to him and slapped him hard. This one for acting reckless. She shouted her lungs out, looking at Jungkook, who was silent the whole time. Sojin walked in and noticed the awkward silence. Are you alright? He asked Jungkook, who had his head lowered. You are bleeding. He noticed the wounds around Jungkook's arm and shoulder. No, I'm fine. No, you are not. Look at yourself. She shouted. Jungkook looked at you, and at the point your eyes met again, and before he could say anything, his eyes closed. Jungkook! Sojin supported and called him out. You were about to rush towards him until your sister ran towards you and hugged you, making you snap back to reality. She was trembling. You wrapped your arms around her, making her feel safe in your care. Maya was watching you and walked towards you. She is injured, even she needs treatment, she said, looking at your sister, who was indeed hurt. You nodded, and a lady who was standing behind Maya approached her and started walking her out for treatment, leaving you and Maya all alone. You were about to follow them. We need to talk, she said, making you stop. For some reason, your heart felt heavier. She turned around and stood in front of you again. Leave Jungkook alone. Her words preached through your heart, making you bleed internally. If I wouldn't have followed him, I don't know what would have happened today. I'm not saying this out of hate, but I just can't watch him suffer anymore. Somewhere, even you know who is responsible for the state he is in right now. I'm begging you, please. She paused. If you really love him and don't want to see him suffer anymore, then leave him alone and let him start a new life, which has no Kim family in it, which has no Wyan in it. She stopped again as drops of tears rolled down her cheeks. I can't see him like this anymore. Please. Your sister is under doctor's care for now, he said. She needs to stay here for the time being. She said over the phone. I see, thank you. Saying that, I cut the call. I kept the phone beside me on the bed and lowered my gaze. I haven't gone to see Jungkook after what happened in the afternoon. I could feel guilt build up inside me as tears started forming in my eyes just thinking about what Maya said. What did she say wrong? I am the cause. Why is he like this? My family is the reason for his sadness and his pain. My lips are trembling. Flashbacks of him kneeling down in front of my dad started forming in front of my eyes. I am his weakness, and I can't let this happen anymore. I can't. I closed my eyes shut as tears dripped down onto my dress, leaving wet prints behind. I cried my heart out. I had no energy left in my body as I somehow managed to fetch the phone from the bedside. I dialed a number. Help me, I said, covering my mouth with my hand. I walked into Jungkook's bedroom after knocking, letting him know I'm coming inside. The moment my eyes laid on him, my heart wrenched. He was lying down on the bed. Wyan? He mumbled as he looked at me, and a soft smile appeared on his lips as he watched me take small steps towards you. I sat down by his side, and before I could say anything, he took my hand in his big ones. Are you okay? Are you alright? He asked, and I am freezed. He is the one who is suffering, yet he is still concerned about me. Why? Just why? I'm the one who fall in love with him. I'm the one who is supposed to ask. I'm the one who is the cause. Then why are you? Why? Why do you care about me so much? Why did you risk everything for me? I asked, trying not to break in front of him. He stayed silent for a while until he looked up at me again. You never know how much you love someone until you see them suffering and their pain becomes yours, he replied, making the time stop. Everything around us stopped. As we looked at each other for the first time, I saw love and care for me in his eyes. I don't want to let go of this moment. I want time to stop and cage me in this moment with him. He sat up on the bed and slowly his hand traveled towards my neck. He leaned closer toward me and whispered, I love you, Owen. The words I was dying to hear were finally out. I have always been craving for this, finally being sensed in his touch, but I slowly moved away from him as he brought his brows together. Jungkook, let's divorce, I said, making him look at me in shock. His eyes widened. What do you mean? I don't think I have any need to live with you. This was a marriage which was against my will, I said, trying to stay as strong as possible. The silence between us was killing me internally. I love you though, and I'm sorry for everything I did earlier. I was in the phase where I didn't care about what's right and what's wrong. All I could seek for was my revenge, he explained, but I looked away. Sorry, I don't love you. I don't want to be with you, I said, rising up from bed. Can't you just give me one last chance to prove myself? His voice cracked, looking away, quietly rubbing the tears off my face. No, I can't, I replied without wasting a minute. He reached out for my hand, and that made me slowly look at him. Look in my eyes and say, you don't want to be with me? I don't. No, you are lying, aren't you? He asked with sadness in his eyes. I am not. I watched his eyes widen and rim with tears. How could you be so innocent? I have done all these just to save my sister. All I did was just use you. Can't you see it? I shouted, pushing his hand away from mine. I don't care if it's for you. I'm willing to do anything, even if you use me. He had a lingering sadness in his eyes. I'm leaving tonight with my sister, and I hope to never see you again. Saying that, I turned around and started walking towards the door. Please, don't leave me. Please, don't, Ryan. Jungkook back at me, stopping me from opening the door of the room. I didn't even realize when he walked in my direction. I closed my eyes shut as tears rolled down my cheeks. You love me, don't you? I asked and he nodded. Can you do anything for me? I can, he exclaimed with a bit of hope he had of me staying. Then, let me go, I replied, making him freeze. He slowly loosened his grip around me with his shaking hands, and without wasting even a minute, I walked out of the room because I knew if I stayed in any longer, then I wouldn't be able to leave. I walked out of the house and spotted Sojun standing by his car waiting for me. He looked at me and walked closer. Should we get going? He asked, and I nodded slightly in response. We walked towards the car and could feel Sojun's eyes on me. Are you okay, Ryan? He asked, looking at my pale face. No, I'm not, I replied, covering my face with both of my hands. I couldn't stop my tears anymore. I started crying out loud. Sojun, who was standing beside me, got tensed as he pulled me into a hug, trying to make me feel better. I'm really the worst person alive, I cried on his chest while he tightened his grip around me. I don't agree with you on this, he replied with sadness in his eyes. Ryan, you really wanted to do this? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't, he said. You are right. I don't want to do this, I'm not doing this. I realized this was wrong. What I was doing with Jungkook and my own self is totally wrong. I rubbed my tears and looked up at Sojun, who loosened his grip around me. Thank you, I said, and I rushed back to the house. Sojun, who watched you leave, smiled sadly. I know, you loved someone else and I loved you anyway. Maybe I don't deserve this pain, but I sure did see it coming. A drop of tear rolled down from his cheeks. I was completely devastated. I sat at the edge of the bed, keeping my head low, supported by my palm. My head dropped as I watched her leave. My mind was completely blank. It felt as if I lost my everything. This was the very first time I felt so helpless and lonely after my parents left. Suddenly, the door of the room opened, making me slowly look up. I was stunned to see Yan standing there with tears rolling down her eyes. Before I could react, she rushed towards me and hugged me. My heart is not agreeing with me. It's not allowing me to go away from you. She cried with her arms around my neck. I hugged her back as I couldn't believe she was back. It felt like a dream, and if it was, then I don't wish to wake up from it. I love you so much, Jungkook. I love you so much. She pecked my forehead and rubbed tears off my face. Thank you for not giving up on me, Yan. I mumbled and she attached her lips against mine. I was stunned for a second, but soon I closed my eyes and pulled her closer in a deep yet passionate kiss. Don't try to leave me ever again, I whispered in between the kisses.